Oh right, what's going on, everyone? I wanted to talk a little bit today because we had something interesting happen in Magic recently that I think gives us a bit of insight into what alchemy could have been. Not what it is, but what it could have been. I will preface this by saying that whenever I talk about alchemy, it's such a controversial format that I don't know, people come in with a lot of preconceived ideas. I'm not here to trash the format. I'm not here to praise the format. I'm just here to talk about what it could have been. So recently in Standard, we had one of the biggest bans, arguably the biggest ban in history in Standard at least, that being the big 7-card ban. We've had technically one bigger ban announcement that being mirrored in, although that had a full land cycle. 6 lands were banned in that announcement, so it was really 2 cards plus 6 lands. We had 7 non-land key cards and decks banned, and it was, I think, universally appraised. Maybe there were some, if anyone hated it, I would say it was probably like paper players, but we were close to rotation anyway, so I think most people were expecting to buy new decks either way. It was a well-timed announcement for a big ban, considering everyone is already like in the mindset of, well, I'm gonna need to buy a new deck after rotation, huh? So I think for the most part, people liked it, and it was very refreshing, right? My God, the format was a Standard, that is, was so fun for like 3 weeks after the announcement, and of course we have rotation. But what's interesting about it is this is exactly what alchemy should have been from the start. So as you guys know, I play Hearthstone, or maybe you don't know, I play Hearthstone in addition to Magic, and Hearthstone, because it's a digital only game, they will just completely readjust their entire format like once a month. There's big rebalances constantly, and they can do that because it's digital only. And the cool thing about Hearthstone is the economy is a lot more generous than Magic Arena, so it doesn't feel too devastating if your deck gets nerfed, because you probably have like 90% of all the meta decks anyway. I find that to be true. Usually I'm missing like a legendary or 2 in a deck, but it's not a huge deal, and it feels good. It's nice when the format gets stale for Hearthstone or Blizzard, I guess, to just say, hey, we're gonna just shuffle it up. We're gonna nerf all the big stuff. We're going to buff all the small stuff, and format's gonna be new every couple of weeks, every month, whatever. Super cool. In addition to set releases, right? And Magic can't do that. Obviously, we can't adjust power levels because, well, it's a paper card game. You can't do it. You can't just add power to cards or reduce the cost of cards. No, I don't think that's good. So we got Alchemy. Perfect. Okay, we'll have a separate format for Magic Arena only that is going to get rebalanced just like other digital card games. We'll nerf the popular stuff. We'll buff the stuff that's underperforming. And there's problems with that, of course. It's weird from someone who's making YouTube videos. Like, the problem with making videos for a format like that is they're irrelevant in like 2 weeks. Who's going to watch? If you watch anyone who pre-recorded Standard videos before the bans and then posted them after, how excited were you to watch those? Did you want to click a YouTube video about an omniscience deck that's not even legal now? And the answer is not really, right? So it's kind of weird to have an alchemy format where it's like, well, if I record with it, what happens like a week from now? All my videos become irrelevant, I guess, right? So it's a bit awkward from a content creation perspective, but that affects like less than like 1% of the player base. 99.9% of people would benefit from having a format that effectively rotates forcibly and separate from regular Standard. I think it would have been a good thing. It would have been awesome. And having played Hearthstone, which does this constantly, it's so refreshing. And if you don't play Hearthstone, well, you got a taste of it during the recent Standard bans. That Standard ban where the format was completely upended and all of a sudden totally different decks were rising to the top of the metagame, and you were playing against different decks every game, and you were playing with different decks. It was exciting, right? And that's what Alchemy should have been from the start. It should have just been a separate format from Standard where Wizards of the Coast just turns the knobs. Oh, red decks are too fast. Let's slow them down. Oh, control decks aren't performing. Let's power up some of the removal. Oh, this Reanimator deck is way too fast. Let's make the Reanimator spells cost 1 more, right? You can do that. You can just have fun, adjust the format, and it's digital only, and you don't have to play it, right? You could play regular Standard, and if it got stale, you could just go play this weird Standard format that's different, and, if that ended up breaking, then you can go back to regular Standard. Just having this separate format that's constantly changing and rebalancing is great. I think it would have been a great idea. Unfortunately, well, it didn't pan out that way, because of course, Wizards of the Coast had to monetize it, and we got all the extra rares, and some people were fine with it. I know I'm going to get some negative comments and some down votes. It's fine. I think overwhelmingly the extra rares added to the format made the format worse because it just makes it more expensive. I've seen people make the argument that like, oh, but it's only 2 years instead of 3 years of cards, so there's less cards. But like at the end of the day, if you're gonna craft a 60 card deck, it's the same amount of wild cards regardless. It doesn't matter whether you're making decks for 2 years or 10 years worth of cards, it's still the same amount of wild cards. You do accumulate a collection faster, to be fair. Like after 2 years of playing Alchemy, you'd have a pretty full collection, whereas now it takes 3 years of playing Standard to, have a fleshed out collection, which is a problem. So I get that, but realistically, like at the end of the day, it's the same amount of rares for decks, only when a set releases, a month later or whatever, there's just another surge of rares, right? There's just more rares added. You have the set release, you have all these rares you need to craft for new decks, and then in Alchemy, it's like, okay, here's 20 more rares or however many it is, I don't know. And here's a whole bunch more rares that you need to craft now. And if you don't, your decks are just worse for it, right? And that killed Alchemy for me. Alchemy should have just been rebalances. They should have just taken the format, taken Standard, looked at the top decks, nerfed them, looked at the worst performing decks, buffed them, and just had a constantly rotating fun format for people who wanted to play it. And if that was too much to keep up with, then you just go to Standard, and that would have been fine. But they couldn't do it. They had to add extra rares. They had to add packs. How does rebalances, how do you sell packs? You can't sell packs. You got to add extra rares to sell packs. So yeah, it just kind of sucks. But I think if you play Standard, if you played Standard before the big ban announcement, if you played Standard after the big ban announcement, and if you enjoyed Standard after the big ban announcement, if that was a fun time for you, just think that you've missed out on like 3 years of that. How long has Alchemy been around? Like since Innistrad, right? Is it 3 or 4 years? However long Alchemy has existed, that should have been the experience of playing Alchemy for the past several years. It should have been that way from the start, and I feel like it was kind of stolen from us because Wizards of the Coast just had to monetize. They had to make money, more rares, and yucky, gross, don't like it. Well, anyway, I just wanted to talk about that just because I play Hearthstone now a lot, and I've experienced now what it's like to have constant buffs and nerfs, and I like it. It's pretty cool. And yeah, this ban wave, it felt like playing Hearthstone. It felt like playing Hearthstone after a big patch, which we just had. By the way, if you want to know, here's the recent Hearthstone patch. None of this makes sense, but these are all the buffed and nerfed cards. And bear in mind, Hearthstone has less cards in Standard. This is a pretty significant portion of the metagame that just got shifted. And they did this because they released a new set and it underperformed. They released a new set, none of the cards were good, and so they buffed all the new cards and they nerfed all the tier 1 strategies, so now the new cards are fun. Kind of scummy a little bit, right? They're like, hey, we want to sell packs for this new set and it's underperforming, let's buff the new set. But also, even from like a gameplay perspective, the new set comes out, all the cards suck, and now they're good, and now you can play them. Like imagine if that had happened with an underperforming Standard set that you liked. Like Final Fantasy, it was a little bit weak, it wasn't super powerful, especially in the metagame with Red Aggro. And after the bans, now Final Fantasy cards are a lot better. So if that was cool for you, that's what Blizzard does every set, and it's fun. And again, that's what Alchemy should have been. Should have been this way from the start. It still isn't this way. We just happened to get a taste of it with some Standard bans that gave us a bit of insight into what that could be like if Alchemy did that like once a month. Imagine if there was like a 7-card ban wave like this, only instead of bans, it was buffs and nerfs once per month that just gutted the top of the metagame and buffed all the small stuff every month. Could have been that way. Still could be that way. Wizards of the Coast could do that if they wanted to. They just need to stop making Alchemy cards. But I don't think they will because of money. Anyway, just wanted to ramble about this for a bit. Thanks for watching. Like the video, and I will see you in the next one.